All right, my friends, welcome back to another Thinking Out Loud with Froggy. Today we're going to discuss, should we sell our 7900 XTX or XT and buy the brand new AMD RX 9070 XT with better ray tracing performance and FSR4 upscaler. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been asking me that in the comments section, and now that we've seen the reviews, I have more answers for you. I have more of an insight, you know, or at least I'm going to think out loud and tell you and let you kind of see my train of thought on this and see if that works for you and see if that is something that can either help you decide or help you understand that, like, maybe it's not necessarily in your best interest to do that. So let's go ahead and start with this. We saw that 9070 XT, depending on the model that you buy, you can get one of the upgraded models, one of the higher end 9070 XTs with the 340 watt power budget that will actually overclock a little bit better and give you definitely more performance, sometimes actually reaching 5080 and sometimes even exceeding that on certain specific cases. So let's think about this for a minute, okay? You got your 9070 XT. You got your 9070 XTX. The XT clearly has 20 gigabytes of VRAM. Obviously, the 9070 XT is bouncing in between that and the 7900 XTX, which has 24 gigs of VRAM. Both of these cards do actually, in fact, have AI accelerators. They both have a significant increase in CUs. Both of them, the 7900 XT has a 320-bit bus. The 7900 XTX has a 384-bit bus. These are not insignificant cards by any means, and nor have they lost any type of performance at all. They still perform very well. They are still ranked among the top end cards in the stacks right now. There's plenty to be proud if you already have a 7900 XT or an XTX, and if you have one of the higher end models of either of those cards with higher power budgets, you've got some pretty decent room for overclocking on those cards. The wider bus width and the more generous allotments of VRAM. I don't necessarily think that you would. I don't necessarily think that you would benefit significantly from doing a side grade, to be completely honest with you. And I've been thinking about this a lot all day after watching a lot of those reviews, and I keep coming back to the exact same thing. It's like, look, I want to buy a 9070 XT for the channel so that I can cover that, get clicks, build the community. You know what I mean? Like, that's an investment for me into the channel to show off to other people. I've already bought the 5070 Ti, so buying the 9070 XT for me is not really an option. I kind of have to do that. But at the same time, if you already have a 90 or 7900 XT or a 7900 XTX, you've already got a a good card. Like, you guys have got some very decent cards. Now, obviously, we'll play devil's advocate for a minute. You do get a better upscaler out of the gate, and you do get potentially more ray tracing performance out of both of these cards, better ray tracing performance that could potentially give you a better experience if ray tracing games going forward is something that you absolutely need to do. Now, here's the thing, and this is what I would caution the most about, is do you go and sell off the card that you already have, because right now you might actually be able to get a pretty decent premium for it, and then take your chances on the new 96 or 9070 XT, and realize that, okay, like, ray tracing's cool and all, but then, I mean, like, if you go and look at all of the benchmarks, ray tracing is, I mean, it's closer, it's there, it's definitely doable, but is it going to deliver the experience that you actually need it to? if it really comes down to it, push come to shove, is that 9070 XT gonna be a better experience for you in the long run than what you already have? Are we just experiencing FOMO right now? Is it just something that we want to have, that we must have? I'll tell you what, guys. I'll tell you what. I don't necessarily think, and this is real. This is me being real. Like I find that my 7900 XTX is a very, very strong card. Like I absolutely love it when I'm playing on my 3440 by 1440p monitor. I'm feeling like, I'm like, wow, this is good. Like these games that I'm playing are mind blowing. Like I'm getting beautiful visuals. I'm getting great freaking performance. But every time I go to utilize ray tracing, and even on the 5070 Ti, okay, the card that's better for ray tracing, I usually find myself in an interesting position that I'm like, okay, like this looks good. My brain wants me to have ultra settings, but the performance, I find the performance severely lacking most of the time that I want to try to utilize ray tracing, because I am so used to higher frame rates now running on an XTX. I am used to 100 plus frames on most of the games that I play. So when I go down, you know, on both of these cards and I'm getting sub 100 frames, you know, or I'm having to rely on frame generation to pick up the slack to get those frames back, it just doesn't feel the same as what I have on my 7900 XTX. I mean, even the 5070 Ti, I get to a point where I'm like, where I'm in say something like Star Wars Outlaws. Okay, and I got everything turned on, everything's maxed out, you know, and I'm walking around or I'm playing the game and I'm looking at the experience, and then I'm like, okay, well, it looks fine, but then if I turn off that ray tracing and stuff, like the lighting or whatever on the NVIDIA side, then I get better performance. And it's the same with the AMD side. It's like, I prefer at this point right now, currently, because I'm not willing to spend any money on a 4090 or a 5090, I prefer the much higher frame rate than I actually do the ray tracing. Okay, and so then that leads us over into the second part, which is upscaling. Okay, I bought the 7900 XTX because I was like, okay, I don't really want to have to rely on like DLSS or FSR or anything. And then I specifically bought a monitor that would complement that GPU combination and give me a higher frame rate experience and give me the graphics and visuals and clarity that I want just from being able to run natively, or being able to utilize virtual super resolution, go up higher and then come back down. I have found a way to make my gaming experience incredible without relying on ray tracing, without relying on upscalers. So now I find myself in an interesting position after buying that PlayStation 5 Pro, that I'm wanting to actually see how these games are running and looking on a 4K display using these upscalers. And I keep finding myself being like, okay, like I can play this, like it's fine, it's playable. But then I'm also looking at the sacrifices that I'm making just to try to play at 4K. I'm having to push a significantly higher amount of pixels just to try to get to the same image quality or clarity that I can get right on that 3440 by 1440p monitor with a better frame rate. And so I ask myself, I'm like, okay, 4K is nice, it's fine. And when I get a game, because obviously I have games that I can easily run at 4K native, and when I get a game that I can run at 4K native without using any upscaling, I still find myself wanting that experience on my ultra-wide monitor. So this is something that I noticed, okay? When I'm playing a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Assassin's Creed Odyssey or just any of my bigger open world games, When you are on a 4K screen, okay, and you're looking out in the distance, you can obviously see like soup textures, blur, all kinds of different stuff that just doesn't really fit in. Like it just starts to look way out of place, you know, like in the distance, like if you're sitting close enough and you look out there, you might see like pixelated trees that are in between their load-in phase or something like that. 4K absolutely amplifies the ugliness that you see when you're on a 4K screen. Like there's only so much DLSS and FSR and all of these technologies can do. If you're in a game, like take for instance my Ghost Recon, okay? In Ghost Recon Breakpoint, there's a LOD, like there's a very, very aggressive LOD on those trees. And so when you're sitting there and you're looking out and you're just sitting there, because I do a lot of that. I sit and I look and I dawdle a lot and I'll look out across the landscape or whatever. And so I'll see these billboard pixel trees and I'm just like, oh man, like that doesn't look that good. And so I'm like, my gosh, man. And 4K just amplifies that so bad for me that it's like I can deal with flicker. I can deal with ghosting. I can even deal with shimmering for that. Like those are less annoying to me than sitting in a beautiful game looking out and seeing a pixel freaking tree. That is rough. That's hard for me because I like to look at the atmosphere and I like to spin the camera around and just look out in the distance and see that beautiful landscape and stuff and look for places that I want to go and check out. And when I'm sitting there and I see these pixelated trees, I'm just like, ooh. Or when I'm looking up and I see these big old pixelated clouds or so, yeah, on certain games. You know, I play a lot of open world games, so that is important to me. So, but when I take those specific games and I put them on that monitor at 1440p, all of that goes away. I can't see the pixel trees no more. I can't see the pixel clouds. I mean, I can if I really, really, really look for them, but they are not anywhere near as obvious as they are on 4K. And when you're using DLSS or FSR, it makes those things stand out like a sore thumb so freaking bad. So when I load a game up on my 7900 XTX, or my or when I had the XT, and I look at that, and you're on the right monitor. Now, if you're chasing 4K, maybe the 7900 XTX FSR4 makes sense for you because it will give you a better 4K image quality because it cleans all that up. It gets rid of the ghosting. It gets rid of a lot of the shimmering. It cleans up the image quality to where you're going to perceive a sharper, clearer, cleaner looking image. So yes, that would be a benefit. But like I said, man, the stuff that I see that stands out more to me is like, and it's so bad in a game like freaking, oh gosh, what is that? That newer one, that one that just came out. Gosh dang it, what's that game? Oh, where is it? Oh, Stalker 2. Like Stalker 2, man. The trees in that game, oh my gosh. On 4K, it looks atrocious. But it looks so much better when I play that on the freaking... When I'm playing that over here on the monitor, it looks significantly better. Significantly better. I'm like, my goodness. So, if you've already got a 1440p monitor. If you're gaming 1440p, you got a 7900 XTX or you got an XT. I don't necessarily think you absolutely need to upgrade, okay? Because you don't really need upscaling for those resolutions. You don't. Like you don't really need the upscaling. And you can kind of, on 1440p, you can kind of lower your settings a little bit too and get more, you can lower your settings and not have a perceivable difference in image quality, more so on a 1440p monitor than you can on 4K. At 4K, you pretty much need maximum settings. You need ultra settings for that image quality to look good. So think about these things before you make a decision to run out and get like a newer card that obviously you're gonna have games, like depending on the games you play. you're going to have games that are going to favor that wider bus, favor more memory. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have that, and it's going to give you a less stuttery experience overall. Like it's just going to be a better overall experience. But the 9070 XT, guys, man, like as much as I would love for you guys to go out and buy a new card and just be like, yeah, I got the new card. It's also like, look, I don't necessarily think you need it. And like, this is the beginning of the generation. We're going to have the next couple of years for you to decide, you know? I mean, if your 7900 XTX or XT starts to get to a point where it just doesn't perform, and then you start seeing benchmarks of the 9070 XT like blowing those cards away, then maybe I would think about it. But like right now, I just don't know if that makes sense for the average, you know, enthusiast to just go out and buy it. Like if you've got the money and you've got the resources, fine, pick one up and try it out, you know, see if FSR4 is something. But I do firmly believe that AMD is going to bring FSR4 to the 7000 series GPUs. And that's going to enhance the overall image quality of your 7000 series GPUs. Now, obviously, we're seeing that it is taking a performance hit to run that. So yeah, you might end up taking a little bit more of a performance hit to run those on RDNA 3. But at the end of the day, my friends, if you just want clarity, if that's the thing, image quality and clarity and stuff, you should still be able to manage a good enough experience by turning that on those cards. So I don't necessarily think that it's worth freaking getting rid of like either of your 7900 XT or your XTX. I think these cards are definitely strong cards and they're going to last a long time. I think that AMD built RDNA 3 pretty well. Definitely seeing the uptick for RDNA 4 with less cores and all of that stuff definitely gets me excited for next generation AMD cards as well. So I might just kind of keep your eye out and watch and see how the 9070 XT performs. See if once FSR3 or FSR4 comes to RDNA 3, if you experience it, you know what I mean? Like it's not like you don't need to rush out and grab it, unless because at this point you can, I don't know. I mean, you're essentially getting the same power, but you are getting FSR4, but that's only running in 30 games right now. It will come to more. You never know. They might bring it out in a few weeks, and they'll be like, all right, guys, look, we're gonna do a beta. We're gonna see how it runs on RDNA 3, and then you'll be able to see for yourself. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that it is wiser, honestly, to potentially just kind of wait and see how things kind of shake out, and watch more benchmarks, and wait or ask me, like send in requests. If there's certain games you guys want to see running on the 9070 XT when I pick it up, let me know, man. Like I would love to know what games you guys would like to see, so that we can see how much if it's going to be better for you or not. So all right, my friends, if you guys like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.